Why don't you go see your boyfriend?
Yeah, he's got a nice room.
You won't have it long. He left a call for 7 a.m.
See if we can figure out something.
Listen to your phone.
Hi, I'm cameraless today. Sorry. I'm just not in the mood to be on camera, to be honest. But they're in verdict watch, so we need to hurry up because I don't want a verdict to come out before we've seen anything. Let me just get my order done quickly. Hope everyone's having a good Friday. Hi Nancy, no stress about being at work. You got to keep that job. Okay, let's dive in. We better 1.25 speed this. I have got the captions on though. I don't know why it's glitchy. It's not me.
I'm going to allow all the photographs permitted. Part of the state's defendants self-defense, so they're relevant purpose. Show the exit. They're relevant to show the entry. State's theory that he are graphic, but I also think that these photographs, as stated yesterday, are sanitized and that the state is not seeking all the photographs of the autopsy, including photos of internal organs that would depict the path. And I think also in today's culture, photographs like this are not as gruesome as they would have been 30 or 40 years ago, just because we as a society have so much more access to graphic depictions, whether it's just on regular television, movies, the internet, those sorts of things. But even if that wasn't the case, I think that all these photographs are going to be relevant to the state's theory of the case and to disprove the defendants' of theory of the case. And again, are not so graphic and so shocking that their probative value would, that there's a danger of the jury being unfairly prejudiced by this. So I'm going to go ahead and admit the photographs.
Thank you, Your Honor. For purposes of the record, we would note our objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay.
We have the benefit,
All right.
we have the benefit of the court's ruling. Thank you.
Your Honor, and if I may, I went through them again last night. I'm going to, very much tried to streamline everything.
and I took out State's Exhibits 79 and 106.
Okay.
Eliminated 2 of them, but again, I felt that eliminating any others would impact the jury's ability to understand the sequence of the wounds.
Okay.
And again, I think the court may have mentioned it about the sanitized. These are all photographs taken after the body is cleaned. They're not bloody. They're not gory. They're very sort of clinical and medical in the wounds that they're actually depicted.
Okay. And so what I'll go ahead and do is now the state will be eliminating photographs 79 and
106.
79 and 106. So I guess I'm going to unadmit those.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they've already been admitted, but I would ask, I guess.
They'll just be withdrawn.
Yes, sir, and not sent back to the jury.
Okay. All right. So 79 and 106 are now withdrawn as evidence and will not be sent back to the jury room, nor will they be published to the jury
Yes, sir.
this morning.
And, we discussed there were a couple that were similar in terms of the back, and I thought about duplicating that in my slide presentation to the jury. The issue with that is that when they go back with the physical photographs, they will not have that. And so they would then simply have a close-up of a wound and have no context as to where the wound occurred. Okay. So I don't think that would be practical for the jury.
Okay.
So.
All right. So the next issue that came up yesterday was about whether or not the defendant's expert witness can be in the courtroom during the defendant's testimony. And Mr. Alderman, what's your position on that?
I did not review the case last night. Last time I reviewed that case law was that there was case law in favor of it. From a practical perspective, I don't know that it changes a lot at this point. I mean, she met with Ms. Kuhn 6 times and gave detailed accounts of what happened. If Ms. Kuhn wants to give another version of what happened and Dr. Harper wants to talk about that, I don't.
So you don't have any objection
No,
to her
sir,
remaining in the courtroom? Okay. All right. So with that, the court doesn't need to address the defense request. The state will agree to that. But I did have some case law on the issue, but since it's now a moot point, we won't go into that. Maybe afterwards. All right. I need to step off just for a minute and address something. So I'll just step out for just a couple of minutes and we'll be in recess for just 2 or 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Essentially, what if I have questions? Can I ask them now, or do we wait till the end? The court security officer simply said, usually you wait to the end, and then they write the question on a piece of paper and submit it to the court. So I wanted to bring that to the party's attention. Just to get that on the record. This did not occur in front of any of the other jurors. It just occurred between this one juror and the court security officer. Also occurred to thing that came to my attention. And it involves juror number 58, who's on seating chart number 40, initials LB.
I'm sorry,
This morning,
what was the juror number you said?
juror number 58 on seating chart number 40, LB,
Okay,
who is
yes, sir.
who is now the second
Yes, sir.
alternate.
Yes,
And it came to my attention this morning that he asked court security a question, did not do it in front of any member of the panel, but just stepped out and asked court security a question. And the question was this: essentially, what if I have questions? Can I ask them now, or do we wait till the end? The court security officer simply said, usually wait to the end, and then they write the question on a piece of paper and submit it to the court. So I wanted to bring that to the party's attention, just to get that on the record. This did not occur in front of any of the other jurors. It just occurred between this one juror and the court security officer. Also note this is the second alternate as well. So I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention that that question had been asked and that the court security answered with what would be our normal protocol anyway. So any comments on that?
Would the court be inclined to bring him out and at least on the record that we were aware he asked a question and perhaps address it at that particular time, whichever way the court wants to, but that it needs to be acknowledged in overabundance of caution.
Mr. Alderman?
I mean, yes, I guess it would depend as to what the question is. It a question about the case or evidence, which I think would be natural for all the jurors to have questions? Obviously, we're halfway through a trial. Or is it a question about something more procedural?
In talking to court security, their feeling was that it was more procedural, like how is a trial conducted? That was their impression.
Because I think if there's questions of that nature, the court may be able to answer.
Right.
So I guess I would agree with Mr. Matthews. The court wants to just bring him out and ask him that question by himself.
But when I give him the instruction about questions, I'm only giving him that one instruction. I'm not telling the other jurors that.
I mean, maybe something that we may need then to provide to all of the jurors. I said, if
I could always just give them that instruction. I could do it now. And just say something to the effect of, I'm going to give you an additional instruction. And I mean, that way that avoids that juror, and then somebody asks the question and then he just answers it.
That's fine with me.
Let me pull out that particular instruction. I know it's in the closing comments. I think Mr. Alderman's right. I mean, obviously the jurors, are going to have questions throughout the trial in their mind because they haven't heard all the evidence. So
And that's a court. So where that's a short, very short passage.
what now?
That particular portion of it.
What I think what I'll read is I'll just say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to give you an additional instruction. If you need to communicate with me, please send a note through court security. If you have a question, if you need to communicate with me, send a note through court security. In this case, any questions you may have, you will have an opportunity after all the evidence has been presented to ask any questions you may have. I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court.
Satisfactory with the defense,
Mr. Alderman?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't know if the court wants to also give a gentle reminder to all the members of the jury not to discuss the the case or anything with anybody.
Okay. Okay. All right, let me. So this is how I think I'm going to do it. If you need to communicate with me, send a note through court security. Any questions you may have need to wait until deliberations begin. I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court. Does that sound good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's fine with defense counsel.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that we need to address?
Not about defense counsel.
Okay.
Just briefly, Judge, and I did address it about, and I know we discussed at length yesterday, the camera issue.
Mhm.
But, you know, something was brought to my attention yesterday when we were sitting here talking about the autopsy photos. I was contacted by people saying that contents of my laptop were being shown on the recording, including as I'm going through the autopsy photos.
Okay.
Which I was told would not happen. Obviously, you know, I can't get away from the camera. It's right over my shoulder, and but I feel like I have nowhere to go. But I don't think that my laptop should be shown
Okay.
on the recording. I know the court's hands are very limited.
I would just
Camera
ask if.
and I did address it. And I
Yeah,
was
the
throwing
shot
it
not
in the bus.
included, and it's,
Yes, sir.
right, it's the structure of this courtroom
Yes, sir.
just makes it very difficult when we have live feeds, and that's not their fault. I mean, that's not their fault. It's just kind of the structure of the courtroom and where cameras placed to avoid, obviously, showing the jurors. So, so anyway, but hopefully that won't happen. And
Yes, sir.
okay. Anything else?
Let's do it, Judge.
All right, let's bring the jury in. Oh, well, before we bring them in, if the attorneys can approach, just, I have one follow-up question for them. Oh, not a problem, I understand. You needing the additional time, and anything that we need to address at this time before we bring the jury in? Okay, and, okay. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and bring the jury in, and I will give them the instruction and then turn it over to the state to call its first witness.
Judge, I'm sorry, real quick. I think we've covered it before, but just for Mr. Estes, Mr. Barnes, typically the way I do experts, I go through sort of my background questions, and then, you know, I'll ask if the defense have any questions, because obviously the court is not supposed to make a ruling. This person's an expert.
Correct.
So rather than ask for a ruling from the court, once I'm done with my sort of predicate
You'll
background
ask if they want
questions.
to voir dire the witness?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
Fine, Judge.
and then if there's either when they're done or there's no questions, then I'll simply move into my questions without the court making that determination.
All right.
Are we good, sir?
Yes.
All rise for the jury, please.
Okay, everybody can be seated. All right, members of the jury, before we get started today, I need to ask whether or not any of you have received any information about this case, seen anything on the internet about this case, had anybody try to talk to you about this case since we last saw each other yesterday? Okay, all the jurors are shaking their heads no. Also, again, let me remind you that you cannot discuss this case with anybody. And again, do not use social media, the internet, anything else to get any information about this case or the people and places involved. Everything you will need to decide this case will occur here in the courtroom. Also, I'm going to give you an additional instruction. If you happen to have a question and need to communicate with me, send a note to court security. Any questions that you have can only be submitted after you begin deliberations. And so if you have a question, during that time, I will talk with the attorneys before I answer. I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court. So I want to go ahead and give you that instruction at this time. And with that, Mr. Alderman, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may call your next witness.
David, call Dr. Oleski. Deanna Oleski.
That man, raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
All right, man, have a seat in the chair. Hold the chair as close to the microphone as you can and speak loud enough into the microphone so that everybody can hear you. Mr. Alderman, you may proceed.
Thanks, sir. Ma'am, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Sure. My name is Dr. Deanna Oleski, Oleske.
And how are you presently employed?
I'm the Chief Medical Examiner in District 1.
And can you describe your basic duties as Chief Medical Examiner?
In addition to my administrative duties, I perform my regular medical examiner duties, which include doing autopsies, preparing autopsy reports, and giving expert testimony.
And what area does your office cover?
My office covers 4 counties, Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton counties.
And how many people do you have under your supervision at the medical examiner's office?
I have a team of 30 employees and 5 doctors.
And do you know how many autopsies your office performs every year?
Approximately 1,800 to 2,000.
And how many of those do you typically perform personally?
About 200 to 250.
Every year?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been at the District 1 Medical Examiner's office?
Since November of 2020.
You've been the chief that entire time?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you employed prior to that?
I was the associate medical examiner in St. Johns County in District 23 in St. Augustine for about 3.5 years.
Okay. And what were your duties there in St. Johns County?
As an associate medical examiner, I did the same things I did here with less responsibility, doing autopsies, creating autopsy reports, and giving expert testimony.
And what is your educational background?
I did 13 years of school to become a forensic pathologist. I started with a 4-year undergraduate degree at Indiana University. Following completion of that, I successfully matriculated into medical school in Detroit, Michigan at Wayne State. Following those 4 years, I became a medical doctor. I obtained my Texas medical license, and I went to residency training in anatomic pathology at the University of Texas in Houston. This is the core basis of a subspecialty that studies the diseases of tissues in a hospital. Following 4 years of that subspecialty training, I did a 1-year fellowship at the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences, which is also in Houston, Texas. And that's where I completed my forensic pathology fellowship. So 13 years.
Yes, ma'am. And where are you licensed to practice medicine?
Here in the state of Florida currently.
And are you board certified in any areas?
I am dually board certified in both anatomic and forensic pathology.
Not familiar with Dr. Leski's resume. We have
All right, Mr. Alderman, you may proceed.
Yes. Dr. Lusky, I want to talk to you about was there an autopsy performed by your office on September 10th of 2021?
Yes.
And who was the subject of that autopsy?
The subject, the decedent's name was Collin J. Turner.
And who performed that autopsy?
That was Associate Medical Examiner Dr. Timothy J. Gallagher.
And does your office, the medical examiner's office, maintain a file for every autopsy that is performed?
Yes.
And is that file kept in the ordinary course of the medical examiner's business?
Yes.
And you have access to that file?
Yes.
And did you review that file?
I did.
Okay, and what exactly did you review in terms of that autopsy?
I reviewed the autopsy report, the autopsy photographs, the radiographs or x-rays, the toxicology report, handwritten notes or body diagrams that Dr. Gallagher had produced, and chain of custody, I think, and the investigator's report too. Everything basically that was in the file.
And those items that you reviewed, did they provide you with the information necessary to form your own opinion as to the cause and manner of death for Mr. Collin Turner?
Yes.
Were there any external injuries observed to Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And can you describe the standard procedure when an autopsy is performed?
Sure. When our office is notified of a death that is non-natural, we assume jurisdiction of that body and custody of that body. When they come into the autopsy suite, we first take photographs as they were received to us. So whatever they were wearing, if they were wearing clothing or if it was cut clothing. And then we go through and we see if there's any defects in the clothing that may correspond to injuries on the body. We take and collect evidence if necessary or assist law enforcement in doing so at that time. Following that, we take, quote, dirty photographs of any of the wounds, again, to show as they were originally. And then following that, we clean everybody up and we reshoot the photographs and try to make them as clean as possible so it's clear where the injuries are.
And for Mr. Collin Turner, what was the cause of those external injuries?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Now, the gunshots that Mr. Collin Turner suffered, are you able to determine what order the wounds occurred in chronologically?
I cannot.
Are you able to determine whether all the wounds were inflicted at approximately the same time?
I believe that they were.
Can you describe the first injury?
Sure. The first injury was a gunshot wound of the left upper posterior torso, which is over left upper back, which goes through the muscles of the back, the 6th and 7th cervical vertebra of your neck, and then the musculature in the skin over the right lateral neck, where it does where it exits and then re-enters.
And I'm going to pause
go
right
ahead.
there. You mentioned the entrance wound in the posterior torso, correct?
Yes.
Judge, if I could, you could activate the screen for me. And Dr. Oleski, here in States Exhibit 76, at the top right of the screen there, is that the wound you're describing to the posterior torso?
So yes, where that L-shaped ruler and the yellow circle number 5 is where the first injury that I'm describing is located.
So the number 5 does not correlate to the, again, the chronology of the wounds. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you describe that as an entrance wound. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how are you able to determine if that is an entrance wound?
So entrance wounds are characteristically circular, look like a punched out hole. And they have a collar around them called the margin of abrasion, which is caused by as the projectile is literally scraping the skin as it's boring into the body.
And what was the direction of that gunshot wound there?
This direction of this projectile gunshot wound was from back to front, left to right, and upward.
And was there an exit wound associated with this gunshot wound?
Yes,
Where was the exit wound?
over the right lateral neck.
And States Exhibit 80, what are we looking at, States Exhibit 80?
So we are looking at the right side of Mr. Turner's cheek and neck, and this is a corresponding gunshot exit wound.
And was there a re-entry wound associated with this gunshot?
Yes.
And where was the re-entry wound?
The re-entry wound was over the right wrist.
And State's Exhibit 82, is that the injury you just described?
Yes.
Was there an exit wound for that? Was there an exit for that wound?
No, there was an associated projectile.
And State's Exhibit 4, is that the projectile you just mentioned?
Yes.
That was recovered from the autopsy?
Yes.
And what were the injuries caused by that gunshot and the various entrance and exit wounds?
So the associated injuries were fractures of the cervical vertebra, which is your neck, the right triquetrum bone, excuse me, TRUM bone, the fracture of the right lunate bone, which is in the wrist, and hemorrhage along the wound track. So it injures the cervical spinal cord in his neck.
And is that all the injuries and areas of the body that were affected by that first gunshot?
Yes.
Okay. And again, when I say first gunshot, you don't know what order they occurred in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you observe injuries from a second gunshot?
Yes.
Okay. And where was the entrance wound for the second gunshot?
This one was labeled number 6, and it was over the left posterior torso or the left back.
And what are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 87?
We are looking at a picture of Mr. Turner's left upper back. We can see 2 gunshot wounds, one which I just described over the right side of the photo, and number 6, which is the one that I'm currently describing.
And that is an entrance wound?
Yes.
And what was the path of the projectile?
This projectile went through the soft tissues of the back, through the left 6th rib, the lung, the left 2nd rib, the underlying musculature of the left upper chest, and the subcutaneous skin and tissues of the left chest.
And what was the direction of that projectile?
That projectile was back to front, left to right, and upward.
And was there an exit wound associated with that injury
Yes.
or gunshot?
Yes. And that was over the left upper chest.
And what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 91?
This is the corresponding gunshot wound with a number 2 associated with it. It is an exit wound. It is has small tears around the surrounding skin and can be easily reapproximated.
And what were the injuries associated with that gunshot?
The injuries associated with this gunshot wound include fractures of the left-sided ribs, injuries and perforation to the left lung, a left side hemothorax, which is a collection of blood in the chest.
And did you observe, or was there a third gunshot wound that was observed to Mr. Turner?
Yes, there's another gunshot entrance wound on the posterior right torso, labeled number 7.
And is that what you're describing in State's Exhibit 92?
Yes.
And is that an entrance wound, correct?
So again, this is a circular wound that is punched out with a thin layer of red abrasion collars surrounding the skin, and this is very characteristic of a gunshot entrance wound. Yes.
And what was the path of that projectile?
The path of this projectile perforates the skin and soft tissues of the right posterior back, the right posterior ribs, the right lung, the sternum, and the skin and soft tissues of the chest.
And what was the direction of that projectile?
Back to front, right to left, but this one is without significant upward or downward deviation. So
Was there
horizontal.
Was there an exit wound associated with this gunshot?
Yes,
And where was the exit wound?
the center of the chest.
And what are we looking at, State's Exhibit 97?
We're looking at the center of the chest exit wound that's labeled in a circle with the number 3. It's a slit-like exit wound where the edges can be reapproximated, and this is what corresponds to the wound track.
And what were the injuries associated with that third gunshot?
The injuries associated with this include the fractures of the right-sided ribs, injury to the right lung, a right-sided hemothorax or collection of blood in the right side of the chest cavity.
And was there a fourth gunshot that was observed?
Yes.
Okay, where was the entrance wound for that fourth gunshot?
This was over the lower left posterior torso and was labeled number 8.
And is that what we're looking at, State's Exhibit 98?
Yes, over the top left side of the image.
And again, you described that as an entrance wound, is that correct?
Yes, this is a circular punched out wound with a thin collar of marginal abrasion surrounding it.
And what was the path of that projectile?
This projectile goes through the skin soft tissues of the left, lower left posterior torso, strikes and perforates the spleen, the left-sided hemidiaphragm, the pericardium, which is this tough tissue that surrounds the heart, sternum, and then the subcutaneous soft tissues of the chest.
And what was the direction of that projectile?
This was back to front, left to right, and upwards.
And was there an exit associated with this gunshot wound?
No. Projectile was.
And what are we looking at there in State's Exhibit 101?
We are looking at a picture of a radiograph or chest x-ray, and you can see a round projectile, which appears white or whiter than black, and it looks like it's right above the heart.
And was that projectile recovered?
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at there for the record, State's Exhibit 103?
Yes.
And that fourth gunshot that you just described, what were the injuries associated with the fourth gunshot?
The injuries included a hemopericardium, which means that there was blood within the pericardial sac that surrounds the heart, a fracture of the sternum, and injuries to the spleen.
And Dr. Oleski, in your career as a medical examiner, you've had many occasions to observe gunshot wounds. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how many times you've observed gunshot wounds in determining exit versus entrance wounds?
I'd say out of the 2,000 cases or autopsies I perform, a solid 30% are gunshot related cases. So yes, I'm very comfortable determining entrance versus exit.
Dr. Oleski, can you give us, are you able to determine after these gunshots were inflicted, how long would Mr. Turner remain alive, in your opinion?
Several minutes. The injury to the heart takes as long as it takes until there's so much blood around your heart that it can no longer effectively pump. So not more than a couple of minutes.
That gunshot wound by itself, which I believe was the fourth gunshot we described, in your opinion, would that have been a fatal wound in and of itself?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Would any of the other gunshot wounds, in your opinion, been fatal in and of themselves?
I believe all of the gunshot wounds are fatal within themselves if not given enough time, but the last one was certainly the quickest.
Excuse me. Was there any clothing that was recovered from the autopsy for Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And were there any defects that were observed to that clothing?
Yes.
And does that correspond to the wounds that you have just described?
Yes.
And what are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 107?
We are looking at the back of the tank top that Mr. Turner was wearing, and we can see 4 circular defects over the left upper, the right upper, and mid to lower back of the shirt that are circular.
Doctor, you can, I'm sorry, Judge, you can blank the screen. Thanks, sir. Dr. Oleski, is it standard procedure to perform toxicology during autopsies?
Yes.
And you're not a toxicologist, is that fair to say?
I am not a toxicologist.
But you are aware of the results of any toxicology that is performed as it comes back to your office, is that?
Yes.
Okay. And you have the report in front of you, is that correct?
I do.
Okay. And so for Mr. Turner, was there anything that came back in Mr. Turner's blood?
Yes, he had 1 positive finding for amphetamine.
And what was the listed source of that amphetamine?
The source was chest cavity blood.
And you know what is listed as the source of the amphetamine?
Oh, so you're asking where did that amphetamine come from?
Yes.
Okay, so no, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that was obtained through a prescription or if this is the result of metabolizing out another drug, and that's what's all that's left is in his body.
What is listed in the autopsy report as, I'm sorry, the toxicology report there as the source of the amphetamine? Is there a prescription drug that is listed associated with it?
So amphetamine can be found in Adderall or Dexedrine.
And those are prescription drugs, is that correct?
Yes.
Dr. Lusky, based on everything that you have viewed and the examination of Mr. Turner and your experience, were you able to determine the cause of death for Mr. Collin Turner?
Yes.
What was the cause of death?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
And what was the manner of Collin's death?
Homicide.
Thank you, Dr. Lusky.
Mr. Etheridge, cross-examination.
Morning, Dr. Leslie. How you doing?
Good morning. Good. How are you, sir?
Hey, good seeing you again. Dr. Timothy Gallagher did the original autopsy, right?
That's correct.
And unfortunately, he was in an automobile accident and he died unexpectedly.
Yes.
And that's why you had to come in. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, he did his autopsy back September 10th, 2021. When did you start your review of Dr. Gallagher's autopsy report? When did you actually do that?
I believe he died in, I want to say around September or October of 23.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was given a list of cases that were coming to trial. And I believe that I first started to review this case and all the other ones around the same time, November of 23.
So about 2 years, a little over 2 years from the time of the original autopsy.
Yeah, yes.
And you and the other medical examiners kind of divvied up the cases that Dr. Gallagher had done.
Yes, we divided and randomly assigned.
Okay. All right. And obviously you didn't perform the original autopsy, correct?
That's correct.
And I believe you answered the prosecutor's question by saying there's no way you can tell the sequence of the gunshots, right?
That's correct.
And you can't tell this jury whether those gunshots were fired in self-defense or not, can you?
No.
And I believe you testified earlier that any one of these gunshots would have produced death. They were serious, correct?
Correct.
Now, and I believe you've also answered the prosecutor's question that the toxicology report revealed amphetamine in the decedent's system, right?
Yes.
Were you aware, did you become aware at some time that the decedent, before his death, had suffered a traumatic brain injury?
I believe you may have asked me that during a deposition about whether or not I could, whether or not I would have been able to assess that.
Yeah, and that was my next follow-up question. You wouldn't be able to determine just based on Dr. Gallagher's notes and the toxicology's notes and your photographs whether you had organic brain trauma, could you?
No, that's correct.
And probably more likely than not, it would take a neuropathologist to figure that out.
Yes, from the get-go.
Okay. That's beyond your expertise, right?
Neuropathology is not my favorite.
Okay. Now, Dr. Gallagher's report and your review of that showed you that when they found the decedent, he was laying down face up, correct?
I can't recall looking at the scene photos, sorry.
But your opinion today that he was shot in the back, right?
Yes.
They found him. Okay. But you don't know right now, you can't tell the jury, you don't know whether he was found laying on his back or laying on his stomach, can you?
No.
Okay. And nothing in your autopsy review would have shown that?
No.
You didn't see any crime scene photos or anything like that to see what position his body was in when they found him?
No.
Were you aware whether he'd been moved or not?
No.
And as I think you testified this as well today, you relied on Dr. Gallagher's report, toxicologist, and the photos, right?
The autopsy photos, the x-ray, and the chain of custody.
Thank you. would you agree with me, and you tell me you're the expert, not me, but it would be preferable if you did the autopsy yourself. You have the ability to touch, to feel, examine, see up close and personal, the decedent, rather than relying on photographs and reports from another doctor from a couple of years ago.
It is definitely harder to testify on a case of which I did not personally do.
And of course, due to the unfortunate accident to Dr. Gallagher, that was way beyond your control. Now, in examining the photographs, specifically of the decedent's arms, did you see any indication whatsoever, any bruising, lacerations, any injuries whatsoever, other than the exit wound, I think, which came out of the wrist? Was there anything on there which showed his arms were broken or they were hurt in any way?
Other than the re-entrance to his right wrist, I do not recall of any other injuries on his arms.
Nothing to suggest his arms were being broken or anything like that, right?
Only thing that was broken was related to that
The
projectile.
wound coming out.
Mhm.
Those are my questions. Thank you. Good seeing you, doctor.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, Josh. Dr. Oleski, the position somebody is found in, whether face up or face down, is that determinative of where the entrance wounds in the body are?
No.
If somebody is shot in the back, could they be found face down?
Yes.
Could they be found face up?
Correct.
Could they be found on the side?
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't change the entrance wounds, correct?
No.
And in your review of everything you looked at, in your examination of these photographs that we've looked at, is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever the wounds in Mr. Turner's back are entrance wounds?
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, can this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
No objection by the bench, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you may step down. You're now excused.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Alderman, you want to go and call your next witness?
I can. I don't know if you want to discuss scheduling and all this. This next witness will be a little longer, so I don't know if anybody needed a break.
Does anybody need a break or anything from the jury? Is everybody good? Everybody good? Okay. All right.
Today we call Detective David Rowell.
Sir, raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am. All right, sir, if you'll have a seat in the chair, pull the chair as close to the microphone as you can, speak loud enough into the microphone so that everybody can hear you, okay? Mr. Alderman?
Thanks, sir. Sir, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah, David Rowell, Rowell,
Where are you employed?
Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office,
How long have you been with the sheriff's office?
almost 10 years.
And what are your present duties with the sheriff's office?
I am a detective for the Major Crimes Unit.
And can you describe for the jury your basic duties as a detective?
So we investigate most violent crimes, homicides, sexual batteries, internet crimes against children. We get cases forwarded to us from patrol, and we assume investigation.
And approximately how many detectives are there in the major crimes unit?
I think we're at 7 or 8 right now.
And when a homicide comes in, is somebody typically assigned as the lead investigator on that case?
Yes, sir.
And how many other detectives typically work on the homicide cases that come in?
So most homicide cases that we work, it's usually a unit involvement. Usually everybody in the unit's working it.
And are you familiar with the investigation into the death of Mr. Collin Turner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and who was the lead investigator on that case?
That would be me, sir.
Now, on September 8th of 2021, did you go to the scene at all at Jenks Drive?
Initially, yes, sir. I received a phone call from my sergeant explaining to me what happened. So that evening, I went down to the scene. I was briefed by Major Bringmans of what they had so far at that point. At that time, Ms. Kuhn was in the backseat of a marked patrol vehicle. I had asked her if she would like to provide a statement at the Major Crimes Office, which is in Milton, which she stated she would.
And was she then transported to the office?
Yes, sir, by Deputy Loha.
And did you speak with her there at the major crimes unit?
Yes, sir. Myself and Detective Kelly both spoke with her.
Okay, where did that interview take place?
At the interview room at the Major Crimes Office. That's both audio and video recorded.
And so this is that same evening, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And have you reviewed a copy of the recording of that interview?
Yes, sir.
And was that a fair and accurate copy of your interview with Ms. Kuhn on that evening?
Yes, sir.
You know, this time I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 109.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 109 will be admitted.
Detective Rao, after your interview with Ms. Kuhn, did you attend the autopsy in this case?
Yes, sir. I believe that was the next day.
And is that standard procedure?
Yes, sir. Yeah, whoever's most of the time, whoever lead detective is attends the autopsy. If for some reason we can't make it, another detective is designated to attend.
Were any cell phones taken into evidence in this case?
Yes, sir. I believe both Miss Kuhn's and Miss and Collins.
And did you review any material on those phones?
I reviewed a one cell phone video from Miss Kuhn's cell phone.
And do you know when that cell phone video was recorded?
So it was the day that the incident happened, 12 with UTC time. It was about 12:57 is when the cell phone video was created.
And you viewed that recording on Ms. Kuhn's phone, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You know, this time I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 113.
Any objection?
No objection.
State's Exhibit 113 will be admitted.
You know, this time I'd move to publish 113.
Okay. Just tell me when you're ready for me to
Yes, sir.
open it up.
I'm ready, Judge.
JP? JP? JP, what's wrong, baby? Hey! Hey! Come here! Come here! What's wrong? What? What did Daddy do? It's okay. Hey! Hey! Hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Oh. Hey, got you. Come on. You wanna watch?
And just brief, Detective, do you know when this, you said this was 12:57. Do you know when this was in relation to the 911 calls that were received that day?
So I believe this was after the first time patrol went to the residence. It was after the first call, before the second call.
No. It's the Mitchell's in the machine.
Mommy, why were you crying? Why were you crying?
Sometimes people just get sad. Hey, JP. Come here. Can we make JP feel better? Can we snuggle him with kisses? Hey. I got you. I got you. You fixed it, right?
I have a present for you.
What is that present? What is that? Is it a haircut?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I didn't like the box.
I know. Yeah. What is it for dinner? Is it important? No? How about eggs? How about JP toast? No? How about fish? Yeah, this is one of my favorite movies. Deborah and Eric. Come on, guys, let's find something to eat. This is what we're gonna do for the next week, is just walk around recording each other and not talking.
If you could start, you tell me where my stuff was.
I don't have your stuff. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
This is actually really funny. I've noticed just as a market player. You don't?
No. You do what?
I didn't like how
I know you didn't. That's okay. I don't know, buddy.
If you know where my iPad is? Or my wallet? You don't know? Neither.
I know.
You know? No, it's not over there.
Where did it go?
Well, it's in your truck. I took my two MXs out of it.
Where is it in my truck?
The driver's side? I don't know, you saw me. You were sitting in the passenger and I was in the driver. And I took the gold and the platinum American
The
Express.
black plastic thing? That's not my wallet. That I'm concerned about. You also took my North Carolina registration and insurance, so I'm glad you didn't deploy that.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Can we seriously stop this and talk? Like, this is not good for the kids. Did you hear me?
Did hear you. I tried to talk to you a bunch.
No, you didn't. I tried to call you and text you.
No, like last night and then this morning.
Can we
I tried to
stop
talk to you.
this and talk? Like, this is nuts.
I will listen.
No,
And
this
what
is
you're saying,
this is
I may
a
or may
back and
not.
forth thing. I like this is really what you want to do in front of the kids.
No, it's not. I don't
Okay,
want to
then
talk
what are
to
we
you.
doing?
I want you to leave the house or I can take
I
kids
want
to
you
work.
to leave the house.
I don't want to be around you at all.
Okay, then leave.
I don't trust you with the kids.
I don't trust
This
you
is
with the
emotionally
kids.
unstable.
You're on disability for being emotionally unstable.
Or for joint pain.
Okay, that's it, huh? 100% for joint pain?
JP, you better walk back. You're still gonna hear it.
Mr. Daddy.
Oh, you okay? Come on, bud.
Mom.
Thank you, Jeff. Detective Rowell, did you leave the vicinity to speak with any witnesses? When I say vicinity, I mean Florida.
Yes, sir.
Where did you go?
I went up to Pennsylvania to speak with Ms. Kuhn's brother.
Do you know approximately when that occurred?
Not off the top of my head. I believe within 2 weeks of the actual call.
And did anybody else go with you?
Detective Kelly did.
And you spoke with Mr. Kuhn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was that recorded?
Yes, sir.
Now, during your interview with Ms. Kuhn, were you aware of the 911 call before you started speaking with her?
Yes, sir.
I think you had previously said you had already been to the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I got the 911 call when I got to the scene.
And during the course of that interview, did she speak with anybody else besides law enforcement?
Before law enforcement showed up,
During that interview, while she's there in the interview room?
she spoke with her father.
Okay. And how did that come about that she spoke with her dad?
She kept stating numerous times during the interview that she'd like to speak to her dad, and it got to a point to where we allowed that. So within the interview room, we called her dad, let her speak to her dad on speakerphone, and we had stepped out.
And from the interview, what was the temperature like in that little interview room there?
Well, that particular evening, just Miss Kuhn was cold. So for that incident, we tried to make her as comfortable as possible. So we did have a little space heater that we moved in there,
Okay.
And had that going for the first 15-ish minutes of the interview.
During the course of that interview, were you able to understand everything that Ms. Kuhn said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she can be soft-spoken, is it, during that interview? Is that right?
Yes, sir. For the first 10 minutes of the interview, she was more soft-spoken. As the time rolled on, she got a little louder and maybe more comfortable. So.
Okay. And the microphones in that room, are there places that are better, where it's easier to pick up the sound than others in that room?
Yes, sir. Typically, where the table's positioned in the interview room, we usually like the person being interviewed to sit at the table. However, for this incident, she had sat in a corner. Typically, we don't do it like that, but at that point, we just wanted her as comfortable as possible.
So was she farther away from where the microphones were situated?
Yes, sir.
Now, this time I would move to publish State's Exhibit 109.
Okay.
I'm ready, Judge.
She's holding.
You're cold. Let me see if I can find.
Hey, if anything, I have a blanket in my trunk. You have to let me turn my inside though.
Give me 1 second.
Don't ask me why, but I have a cold in my trunk.
I have clothes everywhere. Yeah, I think I got like a sweater or something else.
Oh, one of those chairs? I mean, that's fine for now. I don't know where he's gonna have you guys sit when he comes back, but. Hey, girl, what? I have a cold in my car, but it's all the way down.
Yeah, and I have one over across the hall, but that'll do.
It'll work. There you go. Something better than nothing.
A little space here I can put it in help, so it's not so cold.
Is it on there?
That should help.
Oh yeah, it is busting out some good heat. call my dad. And now we're going to be grateful. Can I call my dad?
Oh, that's gonna be up to the main guy. I'm pretty much just assisting them. I did add your father's information though, so that way they have it.
If you want to hang outside, too.
She wanted, it was more comfortable, so she wanted to sit over there.
You want to sit over there?
Can I call my dad?
In just a little while, okay?
I'll face this way, face this way. We want me to stand by?
You can just chill outside.
I don't know if you need anything.
Okay. You feel more comfortable over there, you said? Okay. Works for me. Yeah. All right, Miss Bree.
Is your mom?
Would you like it over there by you? The only thing I'm gonna say one thing, and that is, I talked to a lot of people tonight, okay? But I feel like your voice is the most important. I want to give you the opportunity to kind of explain, or maybe give us a little bit of insight exactly what happened tonight. That's kind of why it's important for you being here. But due to the day and age that we live in, I'm going to read your rights, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Any say can't use again in court. You have the right to have a lawyer present while being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, will be appointed for you without cost before questioning. If you wish to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering questions at any time. Do you understand your rights?
I'm under arrest.
You don't under arrest. You just detained, which is different. It's okay. But you're not under arrest. Talking to you down there, you said that you would talk to me, answer some questions. So just kind of walk me through today. I know we got called out there a couple times. So just walk me through Bree's eyes.
I called it the first time. We were arguing, and Collin, my husband was here. He was threatening to take the kids.
Okay.
He said that since I had tried to kill myself a couple months ago, that no judge in the world would give me custody of children. And, he was packing.
You want to take your handcuffs off?
Yeah.
You want to come off? Okay, that's fine.
I didn't realize you had your handcuffs on. Whenever she was reminding me of it.
Be a lot more comfortable for you here.
He was and stuff. Just saying he's gonna take the kids and
Today he wasn't.
yeah, and I told him this is in like our bedroom area, and he pushed me up against the doorway, and I was just trying to talk to him, and then when we were in the bathroom, he threw me on the ground and said nobody would believe me because I was a crazy bitch. And so I called the police. And they came. They couldn't do anything because I didn't have any marks on me. And there wasn't any witnesses. And he made a statement. He was looking out something. And I got the kids' stuff out of his truck while he was doing that. Then put it in my car because I was going to take them somewhere if need be. And got the garage door opener out of his truck. And I think when they left, he was like on the phone with my command. So I closed the garage doors and I locked the door and took the batteries out of the lock so that he could come in and take the kids. I didn't want them. I didn't want them to see excited. Thank you. And then there was a couple hours later. My daughter, the kids were napping, and I was texting him and calling him because he was in the driveway. He wasn't leaving, but he was just in the driveway.
How long was he locked out of the house?
Maybe an hour.
Okay. So he wasn't leaving?
No. My kids, they're 4 and 3, and then the 3-year-old, sometimes she wakes up from a nap, like really confused. Just hysterical. You can't console her. And it's usually hit or miss on who can console her. Sometimes we end up just, he'll have her for a little bit and then give her to me. She's still screaming on her. I know we had her back and forth a couple times. But she was still crying. So I took her out front. And he was still there. So I asked her if she wanted to cry. I gave her to him. And he would talk to me. I had texted him, just, saying like this is really the path that I want to do. Like this is just crazy that I'm fighting for the kids. Yeah. I went out there to go get her. They could see it called the police. This time. He told me that I have mental health issues and that I'm being unreasonable and he doesn't trust me to leave me alone with the kids. Which wasn't correct. He just wanted to take them because I told him that I wanted a divorce. So he was just trying to take the kids. I have an appointment tomorrow and on Friday. It's divorce lawyers. I just wanted to get divorced. And not fight for the kids. And not get from around. And then the police made you let him back in the house. And I was crying. The kids were crying. Can I talk to my dad?
It is a lot. So what happened after the law enforcement left the second time?
Don't remember. I don't remember.
Which part?
after they left, when I know I called my mom. He was in the garage again, and I locked him out. I locked it for some reason. I think to talk to him.
You locked him out for some reason, and that was
No,
the talk.
I locked him out. He was in the garage. I locked him out.
Okay.
But he didn't. He's still in the garage. I was opening the door to talk to him. And he tried coming in, so I blocked the door. And he kicked my foot and was trying to push to go to the door. And I was trying to keep him out. I don't. And then I shot him. But he was still coming towards me. I don't think I shut the door, and I went to get my kids, and I took them out of the house, threw them back to go to the neighbor's house, and I saw a kid riding his bike, and I stopped him. I just told him to call 911. And then I was banging on my neighbor's door, shaking them to go 911. And to take the kids so I could go back and help him because I shot at him.
How many times did you shoot him? Sure. So just to kind of.
I didn't mean to shoot him. It was at least twice I didn't mean to shoot him, but I did. And he said something, and just the look on his face.
What was the look on his face?
He was gonna kill me. And that's when I shot him.
Where did you get the gun? And you said you came to the door. Did you already have the gun in your hands? Did you already have the gun in your hand when you came to the garage door? You think so?
I don't know.
Okay. This seems like it all happened pretty quick. I can definitely see that it all happened just very quickly.
He's dead. There's.
So
I went to go help him. I couldn't get in the front door because I had taken out the batteries from earlier. The garage door was closed, so I ran back around back. And opened the garage. He was. Screaming. I couldn't open the garage door to let the neighbors in, and I did. I went over. I pulled it. I was able to open it. I was. I tried to. He was.
I believe that you tried to help him.
Was he dead? Is he dead? I think he was dead.
Yes, ma'am, he passed away. I know that all happened pretty quick, okay? So you locked him in the garage. You came to the door.
I went to my dad, please.
Hear me out, okay? You gotta get through this first. This is important.
No.
Where's the gun normally kept so we can go get it?
It was in, it's in the kitchen. I put it in the kitchen.
Where is it normally kept?
My closet.
Your closet?
Yeah, we have 3 guns.
Do you guys share a closet, or is it your closet, his closet?
We share a closet.
Okay.
How is it normally kept? When there's kids in the house, I figure there's a way to keep it away.
It's up. The shotgun is the one that's out.
Is the handgun in a safe? Is it in its lockbox? Is it in its gun container?
No, it's just up high.
It's just up high? Okay. So the kids can't get it, that's why it's up high? Okay. Why did you have the gun when you went to the garage door? Do you know?
I just wanted to go. Why did they arrest him when I called the police? Why did they arrest him? I didn't want him dead.
I wasn't out there.
I told them.
Was he on the...
Where are my kids?
Where were your babies when that was this?
Where are my babies now?
Where were they at?
They don't have a dad.
Where were they at?
I'll go to jail.
Hey, Bree, where were your babies at when this went down?
They were in my room.
They were in your room? Okay. Do they normally hang out in there, or did you tell them to go to your room? You're not sure? Okay. You got 2 small ones, and you have a 12-year-old girl? Okay. Where was your 12-year-old at?
With them.
They were with them in your room?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he on the phone
Did
at
you
all?
guys call? Did you call it? My in-laws so they could come?
We'll take care of
We will take care of it. Okay, they're gonna be safe.
Oh. They're good.
Was he doing anything when you opened up the garage door? Was he talking on the phone? Was he working on anything in the garage? What was he doing when you opened up the garage door?
Can I please? I just want to go down.
I know you do. I know.
I don't.
We'll get you a phone. It is really important that we get everything out of you so we know how to make sense of everything, okay?
Doesn't make sense. My husband's dead. Why did they just arrest you?
The best that you can remember. Okay, when you opened up the door, what was your husband doing?
There's just so much blood.
I know.
I've never seen anybody dead.
Where was he standing when you were in the garage?
No, it's just so.
Was he close to you, far away?
Help him. He should have just let me kill myself once I knew.
Why do you say that?
Because then he would be dead.
I'm sure he didn't want you to do anything to yourself. Right?
about it anymore. I just want to call it. I have to talk to my dad.
We'll get you a phone, but it is real important for us to understand your perception of what was going on with your husband.
Bree, you're the only one that can provide these details for us. Okay. I know. Well, like I told you at the very beginning, okay, I think it's very important to give a voice. Okay, now's your chance to kind of tell us what happened from your point of view, to kind of help explain the situation.
He doesn't have a voice. I just thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was okay.
Did he have anything in his hand when you had to shoot him?
I can't do this.
I know it's very hard, okay, but you gotta be strong, if not for you, but for your babies. Okay, you gotta be strong. I know. Okay, but you gotta be strong. Bro, you're still a mother. Okay, you gotta be strong. Okay, you're the only one that can make light of this situation. You're the only one. Okay, if it was an accident, it was an accident, okay? If things just got out of hand and it was a mistake, then that's what it is. But you gotta tell us something. Okay, if things just got out of hand and you made a mistake, you gotta tell us that. Okay, because we don't know what to believe otherwise. Okay, you're the only one that can provide us any sort of light. I don't think you're a bad person. Detective Kelly doesn't think you're a bad person. Nobody thinks that you're a bad person. Okay, sometimes we do things that we let things get out of hand. Okay, and we make mistakes. It's not the mistakes that define us. Okay, it's how we move on from those mistakes. Bree, you gotta listen to me when I tell you that. Okay, it's not the mistakes that define how we move on from those mistakes.
Go to jail. I need to talk to my dad. I need to talk to my
Let me
dad.
just ask the one quick question. Okay, why did it happen? Bree, just tell us why it happened. That's.
Why did they just arrest him?
I don't know.
When did he call the cops again?
Why did it go down?
Aren't you worried?
I had to do a phone call. Dial 9, and then you can dial it whatever long distance, whatever you have to do. Okay.
I'll give you some time.
Can you lock it?
Yes. What time is it in New York right now?
10.
10.
Did he just text me though?
4, 5, 8,
Not sure.
6, 6, 4, 4, 5.
It's probably a number he doesn't understand, so let's just dial it one more time.
Hello?
Daddy.
Hey.
Daddy.
You're at the police,
Yeah.
you're at the police station?
Yeah.
All right. Whew.
I killed Collin.
I know you did, Jamie. I know you did. I'm just trying to figure out why. Was he threatening you or? Your kids okay?
No, they don't like. Their dad is dead. And I'm belong in jail. I'm sure I'm going to jail. I think.
So are you in now, or you're being allowed, is this a phone call you're allowed?
Yeah, I said I could call you.
Have you, obviously it's early, we haven't figured out what the course of action is, but are you gonna need a lawyer, or are you gonna plead? Well, anyway, I'll ask you this later.
I don't know, Daddy. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna know, I mean, this is a shock.
We had such a good weekend. He's my best friend.
Hold on, speak clearly. No, I'm not here to,
I know.
you have to what?
We had such a good weekend. He's
What I heard.
my best friend.
Parents said you guys had a great weekend, but for some reason, Collin started this thing last night with you. I mean, you obviously didn't put his computer in pressure. We're clear on that, right?
He's dead.
He did, right?
He's dead.
Oh, yes, he is. I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry. And Hardy's got Kylie. You knew that, of course.
Yes.
All right. And JP and Laney are with Child Protective Services, I guess?
I don't know.
You don't know?
They wouldn't tell me anything.
All right, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll start calling. Are you with the Sheriff's Department?
There was a deputy here.
Okay, because I've been trying to figure out, all the police numbers, they go straight to voicemail unless you call 911.
I think it's an attorney, district maybe, a district attorney, state.
Oh.
It's the guy in a suit. He asked if I would come to his office and talk to him, and so the cop brought me here.
Oh, so you're waiting to talk to somebody in their office?
I talked to them.
So you did. Okay. What did you tell them? Yes.
I know, so I killed him.
Well,
I tried to. I tried to help him.
you tried to help them?
I got the kids out of the house, and I went back and I tried to help him, and there was just blood everywhere.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where are, all right, I'll be able to find out the answers to these things tomorrow. We gotta go out, do you want us to come down there? Is there anything we can do? I know it's a little early to start figuring this stuff out because you're still in shock. I guess you were telling Eric when this happened.
Is he okay?
He is. He's shook up though, as you can imagine, as we all are, not as much as you are, but everybody's just trying to sort it out, so. Just, obviously you don't want to think about it, but you've already spoken to the district attorney, and what was just a question about what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a short conversation, or did you waive your right to an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think I need one though.
Well, you may or you may not, but typically people do in these cases. So it's been too early for any type of this stuff discussed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How did the district attorney conversation end?
I wanted to call you.
He let me call you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, are you going to continue talking to him, or that's the end of the discussion?
Not tonight.
You will talk tonight?
Not tonight, no.
Not tonight. Tomorrow, did you mention, or you just don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if Don and Teray know?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna keep crying on. Yeah. I mean, I gotta believe there was a reason it happened. Typically don't go around shooting people without a reason. He threatening you, or were you in the middle of an argument? Eric seemed to think he sounded like Tom was mocking you at the time. But I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know either.
I need to go back to the hospital.
Are they taking you to the hospital?
I don't know.
All right, well, why do you need to go back to the hospital? Are you thinking of hurting yourself, or?
I don't know.
All right. I don't know either. And this isn't so, I really don't know what I'm going to be able to do. We just tried to heard this. We couldn't believe it, of course, and that became obvious that it was true. I'm sure there was a reason. Are you in the office right now by yourself, or are you listening there?
I'm by myself.
Can I, before we're done, and you're about to hang up, did you see if the district attorney can talk to me, or has he already said he can't, or he's already left?
I'm in the room by myself.
Okay.
I can ask him. I'll knock on the door.
Well, we're done. Is there more to talk? You have to talk about it. I'm here.
Daddy.
Yeah, I know you don't. I know you don't, sweetie. Well, I don't have the answer for this one. This is a big deal.
I really feel my best friend.
You did.
My husband, father of my kids. I just fucked up everybody. I killed him and fucked up everybody else's life.
Brings a shame on you.
My dad. I wanted to know if you could talk to him.
Oh, okay.
Daddy, the guy's here.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you tomorrow if we don't.
She'll be present. You're on. She'll be present.
Dad.
All right. All right, well, I'm just trying to sort this out. I don't quite know where to go from there. So it sounds like you'll be seeing the jail staff later tonight. If you feel, I'm not trying to apply any suggestions, but if you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, you better point it out to somebody, all right?
Yes.
There's light at the end of this tunnel. It's difficult to see at this point. But we got to get through these first few hours so the shock can start to wear off, and before you do anything rash, okay?
Yeah.
You're hearing me, right?
Yes.
All right.
What about
What?
Lainey and JP?
That I don't know yet. Obviously, they've been taken into some sort of protective services, so we'll have to start researching that tomorrow.
Can you guys take care of them
Permanently?
until I can have them back? For now? Just so they're not in a foster home? Until something else gets figured out.
Well, we're going to be involved in figuring out the process. I guarantee that. We have to talk to Teray and God, I don't even know if they know you. Don't know. answer was absent, as you noticed. I did not say I was going to do that, and I don't mean to upset you more with that, but
I understand.
I'm not ready to make. What's that? No, you don't understand, but damn it. You know, I'm really pissed right now, Bree. I'm very mad at you. I know you're going through a terrible thing, but Jesus, this is so uncharacteristic. Why did you go for it? Why did you have a gun? Was he going to hurt you?
I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know.
Are you on any medicine now?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have them with you?
No.
Well, that's something that needs to be addressed. Could you bring that up to the sheriff respectfully, of course?
Yes.
Or the jail staff, if you have to wait that long?
I will.
All right. My mind is racing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. You know, I'm not familiar with this situation, as you are not. All right, well, later tonight, if you get another chance, you're going to have to give up your phone at some point.
I don't have my phone.
Oh, that's right. Okay, you're on this. I'm trying to think. Okay, they're good. Later, tomorrow morning, after the investigation has reached a certain point, they're going to charge you with something. You know that, obviously.
Yeah.
And whether they deem you, whether they decide you need a secure medical facility or a jail, some sort of holding cell, you know, jail, is going to be, it sounded like the sheriff said, depending on what you tell the jail staff.
Okay.
You know, when you're being admitted, you're going to have to tell them something one way or the other. All right, well, when they offer you a public defender, agree, take the public defender, a lawyer, until we can at least figure out a better way of going, okay?
Okay.
Just so we have a point of contact. So you have a representative, someone we can call and get questions answered.
Okay.
All right. Honey, I know you're in shock right now. I know this is awful. I wish there was something I could tell you to make you feel better. I don't know what it is. We got your back. We love you. In the morning, we're going to start trying to get you more answers. But the public defender could do that as far as finding out where the kids are and stuff like that. I'm sure they're safe. I don't have them here, obviously.
Yeah.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Your brother's okay. I told you he's shaking. He was, he called me. He was in a panic. Yeah, somebody else is calling right now. I don't know who it is. But, so yes, Eric's okay.
Okay.
I guess you were texting in the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I sent you a text too, but it must have been too late.
Okay. Thanks, Dad.
Well, you're welcome. Just stay calm. And easy to say, right? I'm so sorry.
I just can't believe this.
What?
That is nothing.
Right.
I don't know if it's worse that he's dead or that I killed him.
All right. Well, let's focus on the things that Kylie's okay. She's with Hardy. And the kids are okay. And we will start seeing what we can do as far as, you know, getting them in a better situation. All right?
Okay.
All right. I will talk to you tomorrow morning.
Love you.
As far as I know, I love you too. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Judge. Executive Rowell, toward the end of that conversation where we hear Ms. Kuhn speaking with her dad, she makes several references that she has spoken to the district attorney, the guy in the suit. She is referring to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you work for the sheriff's office, correct?
Yes, sir.
She did not speak with anybody from the district attorney's office, correct?
No, sir.
Now, during that interview of nearly 53 minutes, At any time, did Miss Kuhn relate to you that Collin had ever raped her?
No, sir.
Did Miss Kuhn ever relate to you anything that Collin had was threatening the children's safety, or was
No.
threatening to kill the children?
No, sir.
Did she ever mention anything about Collin's gun in his truck?
No, sir.
I know the space heater was on there towards the beginning. The first thing she mentioned to you was he was going to take my kids, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then her version was he kicked her, he's coming at her, and she shot him.
Her first version, yes, sir.
He was going to kill her.
He had a look, yes, sir. He had a look on his face that was inferred to her that he was going to kill her.
And you and Detective Kelly asked her repeatedly towards the end about what he was doing, where was he?
Jack, best evidence is the video we just watched, not his interpretation of what was on the video. Best evidence is what we just watched.
Overrule the objection for now. Go ahead, Mr. Alderman.
Towards the end of that interaction with Kuhn, you and Detective Kelly asked her repeatedly about what Collin was doing, where was he? You specifically asked, did he have anything in his hands? What was he doing? Did you ever receive an answer to any of those questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Detective Rowell. Those are my questions.
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. No bullets, no bullet fragments, no shell casings, nothing was ever sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for testing. Was there, Detective?
No, sir.
Bree told you where the firearm was located, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
And you knew the deputies had been out there at least twice before the shooting happened, correct?
Yes, sir.
But law enforcement didn't do anything. They didn't make any arrests, did they?
No, sir.
And Bree asked you twice during the video, at least twice, why didn't they arrest him? Why didn't they arrest him? You didn't have an answer at the time, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you know at the time, or do you know now, that she told the deputies, not once, but twice, that she'd been raped and not a dang thing was done?
Post that incident, yes, I was told about that, but also that she wouldn't fill out a statement or anything of that nature. The initial call was for battery only. When they explained to her that no arrest would be made on a battery, then she decided to bring forth the sexual battery allegations.
But they didn't do a rape assault kit on her, and they didn't investigate, they didn't question Mr. Turner about this rape, did they?
No,
They did
sir.
absolutely nothing about her allegations about the rape, did they?
No, sir.
And at one point, Bree, she allowed him back into the residence, didn't she?
Yes, sir, at one point.
Okay. Now, you knew that Bree had a prior mental health Baker Act proceeding before this happened, right?
At that time of the interview, no, sir.
And during the interview, there's talk of divorce, threats, others saying taking the kids, right?
Yes, sir.
And that was one of her worries, that he was going to take the children, right?
Yes, sir.
And then she told you that she locked him out and he tried to come in.
That was what she
According to the
initially,
video, right?
yes, sir, that's what she initially stated.
Now, were you privy, or did you know that Collin, Mr. Turner, in his call to law enforcement said that she was trying to break his arm during his call?
Yes, sir, I did know that.
You reviewed that and you knew that before you interviewed you, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I listened to the phone call prior to the interview.
Okay. Now, we just heard from the medical examiner, there wasn't any broken arms or anything looking like anybody tried
Your
to
Honor, I'm
break
going
his
to
arm.
object as to form, as to referencing another witness's testimony.
Sustain us to the form.
Okay, you attended the autopsy, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. You saw Dr. Gallagher examine the body, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
You didn't see any evidence of broken arms or bruising or lacerations or anything to that man's arms, did you?
No, sir.
So he was lying, wasn't he, about that?
Your Honor, I'm going to object for argument.
Sustained.
She told you that he kicked her. She blocked him from coming in the house and he kicked her foot, right?
That was what she initially stated, yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't know, I don't know, jury don't know, because none of us were there. Only she was there, right?
Correct.
And unfortunately, Mr. Turner can't tell us, kid.
Correct.
When did you found out about the mental health issues that Bree was suffering from?
It was either later that night or the next couple of days through the investigation.
But unfortunately, you didn't know that information before you started talking to her that night, did you?
Correct. I did not know the information when I was talking to her that night.
Did you participate in the interview with her brother? Did you go to Pennsylvania?
Yes, sir. Myself and Detective Kelly.
He indicated to you that he was talking to her at or around the same time that this incident happened, didn't he?
That is what he said. Yes, sir.
And it looked like from during the interview that you were able to find out that Bree kept her gun in the closet away from the children, didn't she?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Did you know where Collin kept his guns?
No, sir.
And she told you should have just let me kill myself, didn't she?
That is what she said. Yes, sir. Because then her best friend would
At
still be
least
alive.
twice during the interview, she asked you, why didn't they arrest him when I called the police?
Correct. Yes, sir.
I believe she also mentioned during the interview that she tried to help him, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
One moment, please.
Yes, sir.
Y'all didn't make the decision to charge a first-degree premeditated murder. That was a
Yeah, I'm
grand
gonna
jury.
object to it.
I'm going to sustain the
I'd
objection.
ask that be stricken from the record.
And the jury to disregard that question, and the question is stricken.
Were you able to ascertain how many guns that Mr. Turner had?
No, sir.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Redirect?
Yes, sir, just briefly. Detective Rowell, Mr. Etheridge asked you about the gun potentially being sent off for FTLE, for ballistics testing, things of that nature. Why was that not done in this case?
It was not relevant to the case.
And can ballistics match certain projectiles to certain firearms?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any question as to which firearm was used in this case?
No, sir.
Mr. Etheridge asked you about the phone call with Collin, and he mentions she tried to break my arm, and he asked you several other questions. Did Collin mention that he had bruises on his arm?
No, sir. Not on the phone call.
Did he say he had lacerations on his arm?
No, sir. Not on the phone call.
Did he say his arm was broken?
That it was broken? No, sir. He just said she tried.
Did he say he had any physical injuries of any kind?
No, sir.
And obviously, he was never able to further describe what happened, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Etheridge asked you, you did not know Collin's gun was in the truck, correct?
No, sir.
And you didn't know how many guns Collin had?
Correct.
That's because she never told you, did you?
No, sir.
She never brought it up?
No, sir.
Not once?
Not once.
As to the incident itself, Mr. Etheridge asked you only Collin and Bree were present, is that correct?
Correct.
But we have a recording of what happened, don't we?
We do, yes, sir.
Thank you, Detective.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can this witness be excused, or does he need to remain?
Judge, he doesn't need to remain in the courtroom, or I'm sorry, in the building, but I've asked him to remain on standby for rebuttal.
Okay, all right, sir, you may step down and just remain on standby.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Alderman?
State rest, Judge.
Okay, if the attorneys will approach. Okay, members of the jury, we're going to go ahead and take our lunch recess. Now's a good time to do that. My understanding is lunch will be here probably in about 5 to 10 minutes for you. Please do not discuss the case among yourselves. Please leave your notepads and pens underneath your chairs, and we're going to resume the trial around 12:30. So we'll have about a little over an hour break for lunch. So with that, if you'll go with court security, and they'll take you back to the jury room.
Please rise for the jury.
Okay, we will resume at 12:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Standing for the judge, please.
Okay, I think now's a good time to pause. We'll have to play weekend catch up, and I'm hoping that the jury comes back on Monday rather, because I don't want anyone to see it by accident. But it's 10:30, and I'm very, very, very tired. It's been a long, long day. Also, yes, Rachel, it is them who you're speaking about. And they cut the whole of day one, the whole first part. So that was already a bit shorter, but this is day 2 now, and we're on 3 hours of 8 hours. However, they have left the breaks in. So looks like we come back with 3 hours 46 left. Okay, I will catch you guys soon, maybe tomorrow. I don't want to make promises though, because I've got quite a lot of stuff to sort out tomorrow for travel, etc. But yeah, just make sure you have your notifications on, and hopefully YouTube will send them out. Have a good Friday. Bye.